The Lap of Anglia is a 4-day, 435-mile ride, raises money for the East Anglian Air Ambulance. I see the air ambulance in the sky a lot, comes over my house many times a day, feel very passionate that they're up there saving people's lives, attending people that need that critical service. Since the event has started, we've raised £233,000, and this year we hope to be over £275,000 in total. Raising the amount of money we have really doesn't scratch the surface of what the EAAA need, but without events like us, they really would struggle to bring in that additional fundraising. So as much as we can raise is absolutely important to the charity.
The lap is a beast of a challenge with about half the height of Everest in climbing. Sometimes there are physical injuries that will stop you, but I've seen people that you wouldn't expect to be able to complete the lap, complete it.
We've had some riders that have ridden the Lap of Anglia that have been rescued and attended to by the EAAA, particularly where they've had a cycling accident and then been attended by the air ambulance is a huge thing for them to get back on the bike. Chris Marshall was a prime example of this. He had a 0 chance of life at one point.
I was living at the time the other side of Cromer. I was using my hours exercise to cycle to Sheringham. I'd only done 13, 14 miles and I just wanted to round up to 20. So I went along the coast road. Whilst cycling along there, I was hit from behind. When I woke up in Addenbrooke's, those first few days were fairly scary. I drifted sort of in and out of consciousness. I couldn't talk properly, I couldn't swallow. Obviously I couldn't see. The main thing was to make sure the brain was working first. Broken ankles and hips and stuff, they gradually sort of recovered of their own sort of thing. And the biggest issue is, for me, is undoubtedly the mental side of it. And that's how you deal with that, isn't it? I think how incredibly grateful I am for everything. That's because of the quick actions of the crew, because of what they did on the scene, and because of what they managed to do for that 90 minutes I was laying on the road. For that, I am forever grateful.
We got to see, me and 2 other clinicians who were on shift that day, so it was another doctor and a paramedic. We weren't able to talk to Chris really. He was really badly injured. We knew very quickly that we were going to have to give him a general anaesthetic and put him off to sleep. We knew that he had a brain injury, so we knew that was his primary injury and what he was going to need specialist care for the most. He had some other injuries, but actually they weren't as life-threatening as what we thought the brain injury was. I did a section of the Lap of Anglia last year with my son, who was raising money for EAAA by walking and biking 1,000 miles. And actually I met Chris, who had come to visit some of the riders at one of the stops. And it was the first time I'd met Chris since his injury. It was at that point really I decided it would be a really good thing to do myself. He's done it. He's recovered from a horrible injury.
The air ambulance had put me in touch with John Bradley and Paul Tibbs. I set myself a target for 15 months after my accident to ride it. The whole process of it was completely terrifying, obviously, but the stubborn part of me, which we've all got, say you ain't keeping me down. I will do this. You've not got the better of me. Completing it was probably one of the most emotional things I've ever done. I know how lucky I am. I want to raise as much awareness as I could do and try and give something back. The Lap of Anglia means everything to me.
It was a really good opportunity to decide there and then that I'd do the lap with some of my work colleagues who also had signed up this year.
I'm not a cyclist by any means. I think it's fair to say this is all very new to me. I'm learning rules of the road, lots of language and technique and all sorts. It's a whole new world.
I've always thought it's something I might fancy doing, but stringing hundreds day after day together sounds pretty tough. I think it's going to be great camaraderie. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a long way to bike.
I'm looking forward to a sense of achievement of having done it, then getting back on the bike and doing it all over again for 3 more days. So it's going to be a great experience. Great friendships, I'm sure. Loads of memories will be made. I'm sure I'll get through with the motivation to raise money for East Anglian Air Ambulance.
I'm very privileged to work at East Anglian Air Ambulance and I see every day the amazing work firsthand. It's a real privilege to be able to give something back.
I like to go fast and play my matches early, so I'm just going to have to take it steady, get through the days, fuel properly.
Bit of a personal test. It's more of a mental challenge, I suspect, rather than a physical challenge getting around all that distance.
I work for Adrian Flux on the shirt here, who are one of the title sponsors of the Lap of Anglia. I just felt it was time for me to really give it a go, so I went for it and I've really enjoyed it. I've been able to raise £2,000 towards the cause.
I've raised quite a lot for a friend whose son was helped by the ambulance and sadly passed away, but he got an enormous amount of support from East Anglia Air Ambulance.
The nature of the route was really epic. Everybody thinks they can just do a 100-mile ride as a one-off, but then doing it day after day for 4 days, you start to feel it.
I think I'm standing at about £1,700 at the moment.
I'm probably standing at about 600, 650, I think, at the moment, but every bit helps, and a very worthy cause as well.
I was just coming, probably about 20 miles ago, just going up a hill, and then the derailleur completely shattered and smashed and just folded into the wheel. So the little bit of the culprit was this bit here. So we managed to get it swapped over. I'm going to nurse it back to the end. I was determined to get over there and finish it. I managed to get around about 750 so far. So fingers crossed it'll get up before we get to the finish line.
To be part of the support crew has been fantastic, actually. Just to see it from that other side and see how much effort goes in behind the scenes. They've had mechanicals, they've had tumbles, but they're still smiling, and I've got nothing but admiration. I think that the collective success of the lap is something that everybody can take pride in.
The weather plays a huge factor in how well the lap goes.
First 3 days, almost seamless. Really easy. Support crew really had not a lot to do at all. Day 4, absolutely pouring. We've had it all day from Kings Lynn. The rain pools, all sorts of muck into the road that then give people punctures.
It's a miserable day cycling. It really is, especially on the last day when we really want to finish together. We want to have that big arrival back at Helimed House.
We've had to push the finish time back. We're arriving late at stops and all sorts of things. So yeah, today's the challenge, but the rest of it's been amazing. I think the euphoria kind of kicks in, particularly after the last stop over at the beach at Walcott, and then on this little stint on the way back. I think they're gagging to get home and they're ready for that finish. It is a 365-day planning expedition. Hotels, routes, stop points, how we're going to take people's money, how we're going to fundraise, what fundraising we're going to aim for. It is an absolute constant battle of making it better each year as well. There is just so much that we need to do that people just aren't aware of.
I'm immensely proud of the lap. I'm proud of the part that I play in the lap. I'm proud of what we've achieved and what it achieves for the charity.
It's been really good fun. I'm exhausted. I've got aches and pains that I didn't know that I could have. I've learned more about work colleagues than I knew before. I've learned more about strangers. Without the people, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as fulfilling as an event, I think.
It's just been an amazing experience. Everybody was just there for each other and wanting everybody to get to the end. It's not just the event itself, it's all the training that goes into it. It's all the preparation that the guys behind the organisation of the event put into it. But in a way that makes it an even more special experience to have finished it.
You get to see that emotion come out. You get to see people hugging their families, crying with joy that they've completed this challenge.
Every year I well up. There isn't a year where the amount of planning we put in and seeing everyone's coming together to get that goal and to see them succeed, it hits me. Lump in throat, definite tears in eyes. It's a huge thing, and I think that's why I do this. It's making something that people are then completing and achieving their own goals.
I think the people that are raising money for such a brilliant charity, thank you so much.
We are incredibly grateful for all the work that people do and all the sacrifices people make to do an event like this. The organisers of this event are just phenomenal. We are incredibly grateful for the sacrifices they make to raise money for us so that we can go and do what we need to do and help our patients.
Their fundraising, their commitment to the fundraising, their commitment to the charity has been second to none, and we are always humbled and sincerely grateful for the efforts that people go to support us. So thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you are doing to raise funds for East Anglian Air Ambulance. It does go directly towards saving lives in our region, and we are incredibly grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing and everything you can do to keep the big yellow bird flying. It means everything to everybody. And if somebody is lucky enough like me to get those people there in the right time, every bit of money we raise helps towards that. You're saving lives.